even without reparations and major oppression that negatively affected Black people, they were able to unify and create multiple Black Wall Streets throughout the country, and that was during the Jim Crow era. Now we're currently in 2026, where pretty much we have equal rights. Yes, there's still a bit of systemic racism that negatively affect Black people, but no one is causing a blockage for them to increase their personal value by obtaining a high school degree and either venturing into a higher education or some type of trade skill that will help them get to the middle class. And let's compare the Jim Crow era till now. There has been a huge uptick in Black millionaires, and so their wealth has increased dramatically. So why Blacks are not able, with equal rights provided to them and more Black millionaires, which equals more resources to unify once again and create multiple Black Wall Streets throughout the country?
Okay. Because systemic discrimination still exists. That's the first thing. First, like, we're not going to deny that improvements have been made, right? No one denies that improvements have been made. But despite improvements being made, the systemic discrimination is probably one of the primary factors that still economically and socially and politically hold back African Americans in this country. Because we can say that the rights became equal, but the opportunities did not become equal. We see this in the fact that when we look into like research into how discrimination happens in this country, we find that one of the things that was found was that Black people, Black applicants, especially African American applicants, when it comes to the job market, they can have similar qualifications, similar education, similar experience to a white applicant, and they're still less likely to get a job. This was even shown when the Black applicant had more experience, more qualifications, and they were still less likely to get the job. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to issues like that, those are one of the problems that hold us back. And when you talk about high school diplomas and stuff like that, you can get a high school diploma, but that doesn't mean that the quality of your education was well, right? Because yeah, sure, I can get a high school diploma right now and still read at a fourth grade level. That's actually an issue across America right now, where people are getting those diplomas, but they're graduating with a sixth grade level of education. That's an issue, isn't it? So it's not just about, everything is equal now, or everything is all good and well. As a matter of fact, MLK himself started saying that just because civil rights passes doesn't mean that everything is equal yet. We still have a massive amount of issues that we need to fix. So it's not just, everything is equal now, therefore Black people should be fine. That's not how that works.
So I'm not arguing that there's still minor issues that need to be addressed. My main point is who are stopping Black Americans from venturing into a trade or higher education. And the point that you brought up with people graduating high school and still have a grade 4 level, whose fault is you need to direct that to? Is it the school system or the parents and the student themselves who didn't take accountability to catch up to the prerequisites of graduating high school with the necessary skills needed? And it's not just high school. There's other alternatives where people can self-educate themselves, such as going to the library and choosing specific targets that they want to explore to gain more knowledge. And there's also free education through many online websites that they can take advantage of. They don't just have to rely on a public high school teacher to give them knowledge. They can go over.
So the issue is
beyond
the issue is systemic. It's not just because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know, right? No, you can't finish. A lot of times you don't know. No, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. Correct. So when it comes to just hold on, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So it's not just they can just go to the library. A lot of them don't even know that information exists in the library because they're not taught that. Well, for example, let me ask you a question. If you were never taught the color white, would you know what the color white is?
Mm,
No,
no,
you wouldn't.
I mean, I
Right,
don't.
exactly. Right, exactly. You wouldn't know what the color white is if you were never taught what the color white is. Obviously, right?
Okay.
So the issue here is they are just not taught these things. You see what I'm saying? Like, for example, when it comes to trade schools, they used to have vocational schools in a lot of these red line areas. When the funding got cut for their education, guess what went first? The vocational schools. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you can say they can just go out and go into and join one of the unions. Number one is not that easy. Just walk into a union and join. It might be like that in your area, right? And if it's that in your area, that's great. But a lot of areas require certain things for you to join them. And not only that, call a spade a spade. A lot of these unions are racist, bro. They're just not going to accept anybody. They're just not going to accept those people. So yeah, I agree with you. These things should change. One of the things we can do with reparations is to add vocational schools back into these red line areas, which is what people advocate for. As a matter of fact, these high schools that are in these red line areas put vocational schools back into them, so a lot of them don't have to necessarily go off to college. They graduate with the trade. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing stopping them from graduating with that trade. The issue is the information gap. A lot of people just don't know because they're not taught that. And when it comes to the parents, a lot of these parents are working 2 or 3 jobs because guess what? They went through the same education system. So now they're not as educated and they have to do low wage and low skilled jobs as well. So they don't have time to be with their children and teach them certain things, which is why I have point number 2 up there. Leftist policies are better for society because leftist policies would make sure that those things actually do happen, that you actually do get things like parental leave, you do get more sick days, you do get more vacation time, you do get unionized jobs so you can have higher wages and spend more time with your children. You do get walkable cities, you get public transportation so they're not in traffic all the time, et cetera, so they're home on time and to help their children out. All these are systemic problems. It's not just, motherfuckers don't want to teach their kids. That can be an issue, but most of the issue is systemic, not just, people is lazy.
I hear you. Now, I wanted to bring up the point with discrimination when it relates to job interviews. Now, doesn't that apply to all races? Because even if there can be a plethora of white individuals applying for the same job and they all have the same skill set, what is going to differentiate them and stand out to get chosen for the job is personality. So pretty much the manager is just like, who can I vibe with more? Now, why is that even a factor in a job interview? So isn't the manager being innately biased and choosing favoritism,
Correct. And
like and distinctively, and doesn't that apply throughout all races? Whoever applies for the job, it's who's more likable. Who does the manager vibe with more?
yeah,
So
that's biased because if you're gonna say
and
who do I vibe with more, and the person that they vibe with more is always the white
but
guy.
okay, but let's just hypothetically speaking, let's just say there are 10 white straight Christian males applying for the job, all same skill set. Now, show me the racism in there. My point is that managers innately will choose someone who they vibe with more, even though it's the same skill set all across the board. It depends on the person who kind of like make them feel some type of like importance, or they're super friendly, aka more ass kissing. So that's innately in the job interview process. And it doesn't matter what race you are, you're still gonna be in a disadvantage if you don't implement ass kissing tendencies in that interview. Now I'm finished that with that one point. Now for left wing policies, is there a left wing policy that can infiltrate a person's mind who's a low skill worker and don't have the resources to provide for a child? to refrain them from fornicating um, without using a condom or birth control? Can you list one left wing policy that can refrain a low skill, uneducated person from fornicating without using a condom
Yeah,
and setting
yes, I can.
and setting offspring in a handicapped position?
Yes, I can.
Whose fault is that?
I
Is it the
can. Hey,
parent or
hey,
the system
Timothy,
of
Timothy,
government?
Timothy, Timothy. I've
Go
said
ahead.
several times now that I can. Number one, if all the applicants are white Christian men, of course, not going to be any racism there. They're just going to choose with who they
Mm-hmm.
vibe with, right? But if all the applicants are a diverse group of people, and we see time and time again that the managerial staff is continually choosing the white man, are you going to tell me that no other ethnic group has ever employed ass kissing or friendly demeanor or anything like that? That would be ridiculous, right? If we
Okay,
see
so
on this, hold on, wait, let me finish. If we see
mhm.
on a consistent basis that this is the same thing that happens over and over and over again, at that point you just can't claim that that the other people are just not friendly enough. That would be crazy. But the second thing I would say is that what policies can we do to infiltrate the mind? Education, because you just said lowly educated, right? If we educate them properly, if we give robust sexual education, if we give education on not just contraceptives, but also what sex is, their body parts, etc., a robust sexual education, you'll see the amount of abortions and teenage pregnancies go down, because we've seen this multiple times. Anytime that that a community or an area was given robust sexual education, you saw the rates of teenage pregnancy go down. You also saw the rates of abortion go down, because they were better educated. And now, not only that, like I said, if you put more vocations into these high schools, so these students graduate with a trade and they go straight into the workforce, even if they have children at 19, 20 years old, they will still be able to afford them one day.
Okay, and how much money do you think is sufficient to provide for a child? Like, what is your ballpark number? Say if it's a man and a woman in a household, what do you what's the combined income they need to provide for one child?
Nowadays it's probably like close to $100,000 nowadays. But if we had universal education, universal pre-K, it will go down to probably like maybe 50, 40 or 50,000, because childcare is one of the biggest expenses that causes all these prices to go up.
So you're agreeing with me that the poor and most of the middle class shouldn't have children because they don't have the resources to provide for them, correct?
What do you mean shouldn't? There's no should or shouldn't.
I mean, like it's detrimental to the child, setting them back in a handicapped position. If they don't have the resources to provide for a child, wouldn't that automatically make the offspring that they're creating um, in a handicapped position?
Yeah,
Yes or no?
all of us in a handicapped position except for the 1%.
Oh, okay.
So that means that none of us should have
So
children. That's kind of ridiculous.
I didn't say none. None. I'm just saying that you need to increase your value until you garner up enough resources to provide for that child.
Not everybody gonna be rich, bro.
Knowing, okay,
Not everybody gonna be
so
rich, bro. Not everybody gonna make six figures. There's gonna be someone who's gonna
so
be making $40,000, $50,000 a year. And if they want to have a family, why should we stop that? Because the billionaires
because
need
they
more
have
tax.
limited
Because the
resources,
billionaires, okay, so we should as a society, we should make sure that everybody has the resources then.
how can as a society make sure everyone has the resources?
Guaranteed
People
housing,
have a different.
guaranteed housing, paid parental leave, universal education, walkable cities, things like that.
So you want to give people free housing?
I didn't say free housing. I said universal housing. I said guaranteed housing.
Or what's the difference between guaranteed housing and free housing? What if someone doesn't have the resources? They're guaranteed a house.
Yeah, we make sure that no one goes homeless.
Okay, so doesn't that mean free housing
No,
for people who don't have any resources? How
no.
can they afford to live in that house if they don't have any resources to pay for the utilities?
It can be subsidized until they get on their feet. We do it all the time. There's countries that do this already.
Okay. And what is your time limit for them to get on their feet?
We can give them like 3 to 4 years.
So 3 to 4 years of free housing until they get on their feet. Is that correct?
It'll be subsidized. It won't necessarily be free. We have Section 8. Section 8 just works on a lottery system. And we shouldn't work on a lottery system.
And do you have to pay back government subsidies or?
No, you don't. No one ever pays back government subsidies.
So that's free, correct? If you don't have, since it's not a loan.
No, if it's subsidized, that means that the cost of it goes down. Another thing that we can do, as a matter of fact, is get rid of corporate landlords, because corporate landlords are the ones who are driving up the price of housing.
Okay. So let's go back to the job interview, because I wasn't finished with my talking point. Now, it all depends on the certain industry you're talking about.
This is across all industries. Don't even cross over that. This is across all industries. What I brought up about the applicants being black and qualified and still losing out to white applicants, this happens across all industries: retail, healthcare, tech, all of it. This is across all industries.
So a brain surgeon,
even healthcare.
They're going to factor race. They're going to factor race for someone applying for a brain surgeon, not one.
Yes. Do you understand?
Focusing on the best of the best.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Is racism rational?
It can be.
How can racism be rational? Explain to me how this person has another skin color, therefore they can't do a job. How is that rational?
I mean,
it ain't, bro. Well, it ain't. It's not, bro. It's not. No, stop. It's not. Racism is not rational. All right, it's just not. It's just not. Don't even try to excuse it, bro. Because this is not even a trap question. This was a really layup. This is like actually what's 1 + 1. This was a layup question, bro. You don't have to boliviate and try to get out of it. No, racism is not rational. We both know it. All right, it's not rational to say this person has a different skin color, therefore they're not as smart as me. That's stupid. You know that. All right. It's like, let's stop playing around. So yeah, racism is not rational. So when these people make these type of decisions, they're not making it under rational lens. Yeah, under rational lens, I'm gonna pick the best person for the job. But if they're looking at it through the lens of racial bias, they're not gonna make a rational decision.
So you're gonna have to break that down on an idiosyncratic level. Let's just use hypotheticals. If I was a white person born into an affluent family worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and throughout my family history, they've only created laureates in different fields, I'm gonna have a skewed version if I go through an area that is poverty stricken and has a huge demographic that's opposite towards my color, and I see the type of culture that is embedded in there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna automatically erupt.
Yeah, I know that's irrational.
Thinking and think that they're subordinates.
That's irrational
and intellectually inferior.
Yeah,
How
you
is
don't.
That irrational
You don't have to keep going. That's
the
irrational.
Financial status.
That's irrational. Because
How
money,
is that irrational
because money doesn't equal. Because when you say you literally brought up, I see the culture embedded in it. That's nonsense. Because I'm trying to explain. That's irrational. If you grow up, I'm trying to explain. If you grow up in a certain culture, yeah, of course. If you grow up in a certain upper echelon, if you grow up a millionaire, yeah, you're not going to understand the world the way everyone else understands, and you're going to have some preconceived notions. That is true, but bias is never rational, because just because you live a certain way and the only view that you ever had of another group has always been negative, that does not mean that your view is actually true. It doesn't mean that. That's just logical. Simply saying that this is the only thing I've ever seen, therefore it must be true, is stupid.
Okay. So let's just say it doesn't have to be like an inner city. It could be like a trailer park neighborhood. You take a tour and you see that it's heavily ridden with welfare recipients, people who are not well groomed. They have, you know, very cheap and clothing. You know, there's a huge opiate and meth crisis. You're not going to think that you're superior than them. And you
No,
see that their children,
no,
you know, haven't excelled in like higher
no,
education, and there's been a series of generational curses. You're not going to, you know, automatically think that you're
no,
superior than them if you reside in a wealthy
bro,
family.
bro. Timothy, are you listening to me? No, I'm
No,
not gonna
okay.
think I'm superior to them. No,
Okay.
just because they're poor doesn't mean I'm
No,
superior. That's silly. That's why I said it's not rational.
so you're not
They're
superior than them financially.
Yeah, financially I
You're
have
on an
more.
equal level. That's what you're
I have
explaining.
more money. I'm not. That doesn't make me superior.
Okay,
That's
so
stupid.
that's one. We already checked off different checks on the superior list. So that's superior in the financial terms. Now, how about
I'm
if
not
I have
superior. I
a
just have
master's
more money.
degree?
That's it.
Okay, sir. So how about if I'm financially superior? We already checked that off. What about educational level?
Yeah, I
Do you
have
see
more
that
education.
in
That
your
doesn't make me
neighborhood?
superior.
Okay,
I
so
have more education and I
educationally
have more money.
superior.
That does not make me superior. Why do you insist on using superior? Why do you insist on using that? I'm not sure why you insist on using superior.
Because you're either superior, inferior, or on an equal level. We already just
No, that's
discussed
not how that
that
works. No, that's not how that works.
you're financially superior than them because you have more resources. Should
Yeah, I
I
have more money.
sugarcoat
That doesn't make me a
and use a
superior
different
person.
term to make you more
I
comfortable?
have more money. That does not make me superior to a person in a trailer park. That does not make me
Okay.
superior to them. I have more money than Billy Bob Joe in some trailer park in Alabama. That doesn't make me a superior person. I just have more money than him.
There's different factors of being superior. Yeah, you can be financially superior if you have a higher education.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and move on, y'all, because that was getting nowhere.